All right, guys, another video. It's kind of a rant, but I hope it's useful. It just always bothers me when I get these emails, and so I always feel compelled to turn on this webcam and talk about it. So this is somebody that's been following me for a while, and they're complaining because they are saying that they have heard this has happened to them supposedly multiple times, that they've created music and they didn't get accepted, it didn't get into a library, but then they heard music on a commercial or a TV show that sounded just like theirs, but the student's saying that he didn't get the credit for it, he didn't get paid for it, and it's just, it's so sad. It's really, really sad. And what I want to say, which I know is not the nicest thing to say to somebody like this, which is that I haven't even responded yet. I don't know if I will respond. I'm just not in a place today to even want to go into this kind of space mentally, but kind of what I want to say to people sometimes when they're sending me this stuff of it's poor me, like this happened and somebody else had a similar melody and it sounded like what I did, but I didn't get the credit, and so it's just unfair, but it's just, I guess, how life is. And I kind of want to say, listen, keep complaining, keep throwing yourself a pity party, and get back to me in a year. Let me know how that does for your career. Let's run a little experiment here. Just double down on feeling bad for yourself and how it's unfair and how something sounds just like your track, but you didn't get the credit, and that library didn't give you a shot and nobody gave you an opportunity, and just everybody's just pissing on you basically, and life sucks and it's really unfair and it's just, it's so hard. Keep going down that path. I'm not even going to try to get you out of that rut. Just keep going into that path and get back to me in a year and let me know if that puts you further along where you want to go, or if that kept you stuck where you are. Because we all know where that path leads, right? We all know that feeling sorry for ourselves and throwing ourselves a pity party and thinking, this isn't fair, it's too hard, somebody else stole from me, going into that sort of brain mindset, whatever that is, we all know, we've all been there. I've definitely been there in my life. I'm not immune to that kind of thinking. I have definitely fallen victim to that kind of thinking multiple times, and I constantly struggle, not basically wanting to, I feel like sometimes there's this pull in life trying to pull me back into that sort of well, this person screwed you over, so it's not your fault. You don't have to take any responsibility. And life is it's unfair. It just sucks. And woe is me sort of thing. I'm constantly if you're struggling with this, you're not the only human being struggling with that temptation to want to go into that negative space and into that sort of, and I get it, because in a temporary feeling, like a temporary moment, this can make you feel better about your life circumstances, right? You're not getting accepted by libraries, you're not getting placements, you're not getting royalties, and you've been working really hard. It feels better in the short run to say it's not my responsibility. None of that's my responsibility. That's just because nobody understood my genius, or that's because somebody else stole my ideas, or that's because et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? There's 1,001 excuses and reasons we can come up with and stories we can tell ourselves that basically get the heat off of ourselves and off of the responsibility for, what I've done hasn't worked yet. What am I going to do about that, right? That's a much tougher mirror to look into, because it means we've got to do something about that, right? We've got to take different choices. We got to make a different plan. We have to accept responsibility for the fact that the choices we've made have not ended up where they are. It's a lot harder to do that, actually. It's a lot easier just to say, life isn't fair. Other people are screwing me over and I can't get ahead. I've heard this so many times, and it's like I'm both frustrated and infuriated by it, and I'm also just sad. I feel a lot of pity for people who are reaching out to me in a way. I don't know why they're reaching out to me, because I feel like sometimes they don't want to be talked out of their pity party that they're throwing for themselves. It's almost like I feel like sometimes they want me to just sort of agree with them and validate, oh yeah, man, life sucks, it's just really hard and you're just getting screwed over, man. I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know why people are putting it out there. It could be for both, I guess. It could be for any particular reason, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the mood I'm in today or whatever, but I just didn't have a lot of empathy or a lot of just compassion for this kind of a thing today. I just was I think what it always resonates with me is that it's I had one of my oldest friends, actually, we had this conversation many years ago where he wanted to learn how to do video editing. And I had done a lot of that sort of in my freelance world many years ago. I don't do so much of it today. But he wanted to learn how to do it, and he was always asking me like, man, like, but you learned how to do this stuff, and it seems like it's pretty easy for you, but I'm trying to learn how to use like Final Cut and all these new like not Avid, it was Adobe Premiere, and all these new software programs. For him, it was brand new, and he was like, man, it's so hard for me. And part of me was just, I told him this, and this is actually some advice that he always tells me. This is actually what got him over the hump, got him out of his own way, and got him to actually now where he's getting paid to do video work. Is I told him, I was like, man, like, don't make yourself like think that you're that special, that that you're the only person where it's difficult to learn a new skill, right? He was almost framing it in that when I learned how to do it, it was just like, oh, easy. I just click buttons and figured it out, and no problem. I just sailed right into my freelance jobs that I was doing. That was not my experience at all. And I told him, I was like, dude, I worked my butt off and I got my ass kicked so many times trying to learn how to use this stuff, and picking up gigs and getting super frustrated and having to call people and look up online, how do you do this, how do you do that? I mean, I struggled. I really, really struggled having to figure it out. I had a lot of motivation and excitement to push through those points of confusion and struggle, but this wasn't any easier for me than it's going to be for you. And so I said, like, when you're framing it in terms of like, well, you just have it all figured out and it's just so hard for me, it's very arrogant. It's very egotistical. It's very narcissistic, actually, to feel that way, because it feels like in a way you're diminishing the work that I had to do to get to where I'm at. So sometimes when I get these emails, that's part of what, like, sort of, I guess, rubs up against that kind of, uncomfortable feeling that I get, is that it's like, you don't think I struggle with, missing royalties? I just, not too long ago released a video about how I don't know, probably lost tens of thousands of dollars based on royalties that just never got turned in from a cue sheet, or just never got credited to me, or who knows why, but I know it's happened multiple times, and I can only guess and estimate how much money I've missed out on from errors and mistakes and things just not getting reported correctly. You don't think I feel that temptation to be like, this sucks, life's not fair, I'm missing money, think other things are happening, right? I struggle with that too. Like, that's not easy for me to deal with. Like, that's a really, really tough thing to push aside and go, it's like junk food. It's like, oh, that donut, it looks so sweet. I know it tastes good in the moment, but in an hour, I'm going to have a stomachache. I'm going to feel really bad. That's what that self-pity, negativity stuff is. It's like, you'll feel good just in the moment. In an hour, it's not going to serve you. It's basically poison that you're going to be drinking. So it's not any easier for me to avoid that kind of stuff. That's what I really want to get across in this video, which I hope makes some sense, even though it's kind of a nonsensical rant I think I'm going on here at this point. But just wanted to put that out there. Thank you guys for indulging me and letting me vent this stuff. Sometimes it just helps for me to just spew it out there. And hopefully this resonates with some of you and, provides some sort of helpful education or whatever it is for you. So I really do appreciate you guys listening. So have a great day. We'll talk to you guys next time.